Colonel Kim Dae-ho sat quietly in his hoverchair near the food court of Kepler Station. His old eyes watched the busy crowds of humans and aliens moving through the wide corridors. At 93 years old, he had seen many things in his long life. But today something was happening that made his blood run cold. His great-granddaughter Lee Soo-jin stood near the cargo bay entrance. She was only 19 years old and worked as a translator on the station. 3 large aliens surrounded her. They were Vorthak traders with purple skin and sharp teeth. Each one was twice as tall as the young human girl. Soo-jin held a data pad in her shaking hands. She was trying to help them with their shipping documents. But the aliens were not interested in business. They were having fun making her scared. "Look at this tiny human," said the biggest Vorthak. His voice was loud and mean. "She thinks she can help us. What can a weak little ape do for real space travelers?" The other 2 aliens laughed. Their laughter sounded like metal scraping against rock. People walking nearby heard the noise and quickly walked away. Nobody wanted trouble with the Vorthak. Soo-jin tried to stay calm. "Sir, I am just here to help you with your cargo forms. If you need something else, I can call my supervisor." "Your supervisor?" The lead Vorthak bent down close to her face. "Another pathetic human? We have been traveling between stars for 1,000 years. Your people just learned to leave your dirty planet 50 years ago." Dae-ho felt his hands grip the arms of his chair. He wanted to stand up and walk over there, but his legs had not worked well for many years. The war wounds from long ago had finally caught up with him. "Please step back," Soo-jin said. Her voice was small but brave. "You are making me uncomfortable." "Uncomfortable?" The second Vorthak pushed closer. "Little human girl is uncomfortable? Maybe you should go back to your home world. Space is not for weak creatures like you." A few station security guards stood near the main desk. They saw what was happening, but they did not move to help. The Vorthak had diplomatic protection. If the guards made the aliens angry, it could cause big problems for the station. Soo-jin tried to take a step back, but the third Vorthak moved behind her. Now she could not escape. "Your whole species is a joke," the first alien said. "We read your history files. You fight wars with metal sticks and explosive rocks. You kill each other over pieces of land. Real civilized races do not act like animals." "That is not true," Soo-jin said. Her voice was getting stronger. "Humans have done great things. We helped build the Galactic Council. We saved alien colonies during the Kethari attacks. My great-grandfather fought in those wars." The aliens laughed even louder. "Your great-grandfather? Some old human soldier? What could an ancient ape warrior do against real threats?" Dae-ho watched his great-granddaughter's face turn red. She was angry now, but she was also scared. The old colonel knew that look. He had seen it on young soldiers' faces during his military days. "My great-grandfather is Colonel Kim Dae-ho," Soo-jin said. "He served in 3 interstellar campaigns. He has medals from 5 different alien governments." "Medals?" The lead Vorthak made a sound like spitting. "Pieces of metal given to make old soldiers feel important. Your great-grandfather is probably sitting somewhere in a rest home drooling on himself." The other aliens thought this was very funny. They laughed and made more cruel jokes about old human soldiers. Soo-jin's eyes began to fill with tears. But she did not cry. "He is not like that. He is brave and strong. Even now." "Strong?" The first Vorthak reached out and pushed Soo-jin's shoulder. "If human soldiers are so strong, where are they now? Why is nobody helping you?" The security guards looked at their feet. Other humans in the area pretended not to see what was happening. Everyone was afraid of the big aliens. Dae-ho felt something burning in his chest. It was the same feeling he had during the war when enemies hurt his friends. His old hands began to shake, but not from age. They shook from anger. "Maybe we should teach this little human some respect," the second Vorthak said. "Show her what happens when weak creatures talk back to their superiors." Soo-jin looked around for help. Her eyes found her great-grandfather sitting in his chair. For just a moment their eyes met. She saw something in his old face that made her feel a little bit better, but the aliens saw her looking too. "Is that him?" the lead Vorthak said. "The famous warrior, an old man in a broken chair." They all turned to stare at Daeho. He sat very still and looked right back at them. His face showed no fear. "That is your mighty soldier?" The aliens laughed again. "He looks like he could not fight a small child." Sujin's face turned bright red. "Do not talk about him like that." "We will talk however we want," the first Vorthak said. "About him, about you, about all humans. You are nothing but primitive animals playing at being civilized." Daeho slowly turned his hover chair around. He had seen enough. Daeho moved his hover chair slowly through the station corridors. His mind was full of angry thoughts about the Vorthak aliens, but he kept his face calm. After so many years as a soldier, he had learned to hide his feelings. Sujin walked beside his chair. She was quiet now, but he could see she was still upset. Her hands were shaking a little bit. The young girl tried to act tough, but the aliens had scared her. "Grandfather," she said softly, "why did those aliens say such mean things about humans?" Daeho did not answer right away. He was thinking about old times when aliens had said different things about human soldiers. They reached his small living quarters on level 7 of the station. The rooms were not big, but they were comfortable. Sujin helped him move from his chair to his favorite old armchair. The walls were covered with pictures from his military days. Young soldiers in uniform smiled from the frames. Most of those boys were dead now. They had died fighting to protect human colonies and alien friends. "Grandfather?" Sujin sat on the floor next to his chair. "Will you tell me about the old days?" Daeho looked at one particular picture. It showed him as a young captain standing with his unit on Proxima Colony. They all looked so brave and strong. None of them knew that half would be dead within a year. "What do you want to know, child?" "Those aliens said humans are weak. They said we only fight with simple weapons. Is that true?" The old colonel smiled a little bit. "We did use simple weapons sometimes, but simple does not mean weak." He pointed to a picture of soldiers carrying old-style rifles. "These men held off a Cathari invasion force for 3 weeks. The Cathari had energy weapons and flying ships. We had metal bullets and determination." Sujin looked at the picture closely. "Did you win?" "We survived. Sometimes that is the same thing as winning." Daeho got up slowly from his chair. His old legs hurt, but he could still walk short distances. He went to a closet and pulled out a metal box. "What is that?" Sujin asked. "Memories," he said. Inside the box were medals, old photographs, and letters, but at the bottom was something that made Sujin's eyes grow wide. It was a military communication device. It looked very old but well cared for. "I carried this through the Titan siege," Daeho said. "It saved my life more times than I can count." "Does it still work?" "Everything the military builds is made to last forever." He held the device carefully. "This communicator can reach any military frequency in 3-star systems." Sujin touched the device gently. "Who would you call?" Daeho sat back down in his chair. He was quiet for a long time. Outside the small window, stars moved slowly past as the station rotated. "Do you know why those aliens were not afraid of station security?" he asked. "Because they have diplomatic protection?" "That is part of it. But the real reason is that they think humans have become soft. They think we have forgotten how to fight." Sujin frowned. "But we have not had a big war. For 20 years, that is good, right? Peace is always good, child, but some people think peace means weakness. They forget that sometimes you must show strength to keep peace." The old colonel looked at his great-granddaughter. She was so young and full of hope. She believed that words and kindness could solve all problems. Maybe she was right, but sometimes words were not enough. "Those aliens today," he said slowly, "they were not just being mean to you. They were testing us." Testing us? Seeing how far they could push before someone pushed back. When nobody stopped them, they learned that humans will not fight anymore. Sujin was quiet for a moment. "But fighting is bad. You always taught me that. Fighting is bad, Daeho agreed, but sometimes it is necessary. Like medicine that tastes terrible but makes you better. He picked up the communication device again. His old fingers remembered exactly how to hold it. During the war, this device had been his lifeline to command. It had brought orders, reinforcements, and hope when things looked impossible. "Grandfather, are you going to call someone?" Daeho looked at the device for a long time. He thought about his old friends from the military. Most were dead now, but some were still alive. They were all old like him, but they remembered the same things he remembered. "Maybe," he said quietly. "Who would you call?" "People who remember. That respect must be earned. People who understand that sometimes old soldiers have to remind the galaxy why peace is precious." Sujin did not understand everything he meant, but she could see something changing in her great-grandfather's eyes. The sadness was still there, but something else was growing. Something that looked like the young soldier in the old photographs. "Will you be in trouble if you make the call?" Daeho smiled for the first time that day. "Child, when you reach my age, there are very few things left that can get you in trouble." He set the communication device on the table next to his chair. Tomorrow he would decide whether to use it. Tonight he would remember old friends and old battles, and he would think about respect. Daeho could not sleep that night. He lay in his small bed and stared at the ceiling. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Sujin's scared face. He heard the Vorthak aliens laughing at her. He remembered how the security guards had done nothing to help. At 3 a.m, he gave up trying to sleep. He moved carefully from his bed to his hover chair. Sujin was sleeping in the next room. She was young and could sleep through anything. But old soldiers like him had learned to sleep with one eye open. The communication device sat on his table where he had left it. In the dim light from the station's night cycle, it looked like a piece of ancient history. But Daeho knew it still worked perfectly. He picked up the device and turned it over in his hands. The metal was worn smooth from years of use. There were small scratches on the surface from battles long ago. Each mark told a story of survival. Daeho pressed the power button. The device came to life with a soft green glow. Numbers and codes appeared on the small screen. Everything was exactly as he remembered. He entered an encryption code that he had memorized 50 years ago. The numbers came to his fingers without thinking. Some things a soldier never forgot. The call traveled through military relay stations across 3 star systems. It took almost 2 minutes to connect. During the war, 2 minutes had felt like forever when you needed help. Tonight it gave Daeho time to think about what he was doing. Finally, a voice answered. It was scratchy from the long-distance connection, but he knew it immediately. "This is Park. General Park Yun-suk," Daeho said formally. Then he smiled a little. "Warhawk, it is Iron Kim." There was silence for a moment. Then he heard a familiar laugh. "Daeho, you old ghost, I thought you were dead." "Not yet. Still causing trouble." "That sounds like you. What is the situation?" Daeho told her about the incident with Sujin. He kept his voice calm and professional, the way he had always reported to his commanders. But General Park had known him for 60 years. She could hear the anger underneath his calm words. "Vorthak traitors," she said when he finished. "I remember them from the Centauri crisis. Arrogant but cowardly when faced with real opposition. They think we have gone soft, Warhawk. They think humans have forgotten how to stand up for themselves. Maybe we have. It has been peaceful for a long time." Daeho looked out his small window at the stars. Peace is good, but not if it comes from fear. What do you need, old friend? How many of the old unit are still alive? General Park was quiet for a moment. Daeho could hear her checking something on her computer. "More than you might think. We are scattered across the galaxy, but most of us stay in touch." "How many could travel to Kepler Station? Are you planning what I think you are planning?" I'm planning to remind some young aliens that respect has to be earned. I am planning to show them what real human soldiers look like." General Park laughed again. It was the same laugh Daeho remembered from their days fighting side by side. "How many do you need?" "Just enough to make a point." We are not going to fight anyone. We are just going to have a conversation. A conversation with 40 or 50. Old veterans, that should be interesting. Can you make it happen? Iron Kim, you saved my life on Europa. You pulled me out of a burning transport when everyone else ran away. If you need old soldiers to have a conversation, I will get you old soldiers. Daeho felt something warm in his chest. It was the same feeling he had during the war when reinforcements arrived just in time. How long do you need? Give me 12 hours, maybe 16. Some of our people are pretty far away. What will you tell them? That Colonel Kim Daeho needs backup. That will be enough. Warhawk, we are all old now. Some of us are in wheelchairs. Some of us need help walking. So, what? Do you think age makes us less dangerous? Iron Kim. We have seen things that would give these young aliens nightmares. We have fought battles they only read about in history books. A few wrinkles and some gray hair do not change who we are inside. Daeho smiled. This was why he had called. Park. She understood what he was trying to do. Will there be any problems with station security? He asked. What problems? A group of elderly humans visiting the station. We are not bringing weapons. We are not planning to hurt anyone. We are just going to talk. Talk about old times. Talk about what humans can do when they need to. Talk about why the galaxy should be grateful for the peace we fought to give them. The communication line was quiet for a moment. Both old soldiers were thinking about friends who had died in those wars. Good people who had sacrificed everything so that young girls like Sujin could work safely among the stars. I will see you. Tomorrow, Iron Kim. See you tomorrow, Warhawk. Daeho turned off the communication device. For the first time in years, he felt like a soldier again. Not an old man in a hover chair, but a Marine colonel who had never lost a battle. Tomorrow would be very interesting. Sujin woke up early the next morning. Something felt different in their small quarters. She could hear her great-grandfather moving around, but he sounded more active than usual. When she came out of her sleeping room, she found him getting dressed in his old military uniform. "Grandfather, why are you wearing that?" she asked. The uniform was dark blue with faded gold stripes on the sleeves. It was old but clean and pressed. Daeho had kept it in perfect condition for all these years. "Today is a special day," he said. "I want to look proper." Sujin helped him with the buttons. His fingers were not as steady as they used to be. When he was fully dressed, he looked different. Not just like an old man, but like the soldier in the photographs. "Are we going somewhere?" she asked. "We are going to the docking bay. I have some friends coming to visit." Before Sujin could ask more questions, her communication device buzzed. It was a message from her supervisor. "There are dozens of elderly humans arriving at the station," she read aloud. "They are asking for Colonel Kim. Do you know anything about this?" Daeho smiled. "My friends are here." They made their way to the docking bay. Sujin pushed his hover chair because he wanted to save his energy. As they got closer, she could hear voices. Lots of voices. Old voices talking and laughing. When they entered the docking bay, Sujin stopped and stared. The huge space was filled with elderly humans, men and women in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. Some were in hover chairs like her great-grandfather. Others used walking sticks or moved slowly but steadily on their own feet. But what made Sujin gasp was what they were wearing. Every single person had on some kind of old military uniform. The colors were different, but they all had the same faded look of clothes that had been carefully kept for many years. "Iron Kim!" a woman's voice called out. A tall woman with silver hair walked toward them. She used a walking stick, but she moved with confidence. Her uniform had more gold stripes than the others. "Warhawk," Daeho said. "You made good time." "General." Park Yun-suk smiled. "When you call for backup, you get backup. No questions asked." She turned to Sujin. "You must be the young lady those aliens bothered yesterday." Sujin nodded. She was too amazed to speak. "Let me introduce you to some people," General Park said. She led them into the crowd of veterans. Each person she introduced had a story that made Sujin's eyes grow wider. "This is Colonel Han Min-soo. He led the defense of Europa Station against 3 Cathari battle cruisers." An old man in a hover chair saluted. "Pleasure to meet you, miss." Major, Choi Young-A. She was the first human pilot to shoot down a Zephyrian fighter. A small woman with gray hair smiled. "That was a long time ago, dear." Captain Oh Sung-min. He held the line at Proxima for 6 days with only 30 soldiers. "We had good cover," the captain said modestly. Soo-jin looked around at all the faces. There were about 40 people in total. They were old, some were using medical equipment, but their eyes were sharp and alert. These were not weak, elderly people. These were warriors. "How did you all get here so fast?" she asked. "We have our ways," General Park said. "Old soldiers keep in touch. When one of us needs help, the others come running, even if the running is a bit slower these days." The veterans laughed at her joke. It was comfortable laughter between old friends who had shared dangerous times together. "Why are you all here?" Soo-jin asked. "Your great-grandfather called us," Colonel Han said. "He told us some young aliens were causing trouble, disrespecting humans and our military history. We thought we should come and have a conversation with them," Major Choi added. Soo-jin looked at her great-grandfather. "You planned all this?" "I made one phone call," Daeho said. "My friends did the rest." Just then there was a commotion near the docking bay entrance. The 3 Vorthak traders from yesterday had arrived. They were talking loudly and laughing as they walked toward the cargo area. But then they saw the crowd of elderly humans. Their laughter stopped. They slowed down and looked around nervously. "Are those our new friends?" General Park asked quietly. "Those are them," Soo-jin whispered. The lead Vorthak walked forward. He was trying to look confident, but Soo-jin could see he was confused. Yesterday there had been one old man in a chair and a scared young girl. Today there were dozens of old humans in military uniforms. "What is this?" the alien demanded. "Some kind of costume party?" None of the veterans moved or spoke. They just stood there and looked at the aliens, 40 pairs of old, experienced eyes staring calmly at 3 young bullies. The Vorthak traders began to shift uncomfortably. Something was different about these humans. They were old, but they did not seem afraid or weak. "We have business to conduct," the second Vorthak said. "Move aside." General Park stepped forward. "I am General Park Yoon-suk, retired commander of the 3rd Human Fleet. These are my colleagues. We would like to have a word with you." The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. This was not what they had expected. The 3 Vorthak traders stood in the middle of the docking bay, surrounded by 40 elderly humans in faded military uniforms. The aliens tried to look brave, but Soo-jin could see they were nervous. Their purple skin had turned a lighter shade. "We do not have time for games with old humans," the lead Vorthak said, but his voice was not as loud as yesterday. General Park stepped closer. She moved slowly because of her walking stick, but there was something powerful about the way she walked. "No games, just conversation." "About what?" the second Vorthak asked. "About respect," Colonel Han said from his hover chair. "About what it means and how it is earned." The aliens looked around at all the old faces watching them. These humans were not shouting or making threats. They were just standing there, calm and patient. But something about them was making the Vorthak very uncomfortable. "Yesterday you said some interesting things to this young lady," General Park continued. She put her hand gently on Soo-jin's shoulder. "You said humans are weak. You said we fight with primitive weapons." "That is true," the lead Vorthak said, but he did not sound as sure as before. "Let me tell you about primitive weapons," said Major Choi. She was a small woman, but her voice carried clearly across the bay. "I once stopped a Zephyrian invasion fleet with nothing but metal bullets and determination. Took down 3 of their fighters before they knew what hit them." "Impossible," the third Vorthak whispered. "Not impossible," said Captain O. "Just difficult. We specialized in difficult things." Colonel Han rolled his chair forward a little. "You mentioned the Cathari attacks. Said we fought them with metal, sticks and rocks. You were almost right. We had rifles that fired metal bullets, but we held off energy weapons and plasma cannons for 3 weeks." "Why are you telling us this?" the lead Vorthak asked. "Because you seem confused about what strength means," General Park said. You think big weapons make you strong. You think being rude to young girls makes you powerful. Daeho finally spoke. His voice was quiet, but everyone in the bay could hear him. Do you know what real strength is? The aliens did not answer. Real strength is a 19-year-old girl standing up to 3 bullies twice her size, he continued. Real strength is doing what is right even when you are afraid. Sujin felt tears in her eyes. She had not felt strong yesterday. She had felt scared and helpless. You want to know about our military history? General Park asked. Colonel Kim, show them your medals. Daeho opened a small box he had brought with him. Inside were dozens of medals and ribbons. Some were human awards, but others were from alien governments. This one, he said, holding up a star-shaped medal with purple and gold ribbons, is the Vorthak Star of Honor. The 3 aliens stepped back in shock. The Star of Honor was their highest military decoration. It was only given to warriors who had shown incredible bravery. You have our highest medal? The lead Vorthak stammered. Earned it 30 years ago during the Centauri crisis, Daeho said calmly. I saved a Vorthak diplomatic family from Cathari raiders. 3 children and their parents. The alien's eyes grew wide. You are the Iron Kim of Proxima? I am Colonel Kim Daeho, yes. All 3 Vorthak immediately dropped to one knee. In their culture, this was a sign of deep respect for a superior warrior. Honored veteran, the lead alien said. We did not know. We offer our most sincere apologies. Stand up, Daeho said. I did not ask you to kneel. The aliens stood, but they kept their heads bowed. The apology should go to my great-granddaughter, Daeho continued. She is the one you insulted. The lead Vorthak turned to Sujin. Young lady, we are deeply sorry. We spoke without wisdom. We showed great disrespect. Sujin looked around at all the old veterans surrounding her. These people had fought battles across the galaxy. They had saved alien lives and protected colonies, and they had all come here just to help her. I accept your apology, she said, but I want you to understand something. Yes? My great-grandfather and his friends did not fight those wars to be praised. They fought them so that people like you and me could work together in peace. They earned their medals by protecting others, not by bullying them. The second Vorthak nodded. We understand now. General Park stepped forward again. The lesson here is simple. Do not judge someone by their age or their size. Do not assume that peace means weakness. These old soldiers chose to stop fighting not because they could not fight anymore, but because they had fought enough. We will remember, the third Vorthak said. See that you do, Colonel Han added. Because there are thousands of us still alive throughout the galaxy, we watch out for each other and for the young people we fought to protect. The Vorthak traders bowed again and quickly left the docking bay. They would complete their business on the station, but they would never again make the mistake of bullying humans. As the crowd of veterans began to break up, Sujin hugged her great-grandfather tightly. Thank you, she whispered. Thank all of them, he said, looking around at his old friends. Old soldiers never really retire. We just wait for the next time we are needed. General Park smiled. Same time next year, Iron Kim. Hopefully not. Daeho laughed. But if you need me, you know how to call. The old warriors began saying their goodbyes. They would return to their homes across the galaxy, but they would always be ready to help each other. That was what real strength meant.